Uh, Howdy there, folks. Today we're going to be taking a look at Gunman Clive. That didn't sound right, did it? Let's try it again. Gunman Clive. Oh yeah, the deep voice definitely makes that one sound right. Anyways, to the point. This is an age where video game developers and video games themselves seem to have lost a bit of creativity. So it's really a breath of refreshment that Gunman Clive just sounds like such an original title. Gunman Clive. I don't think I've heard that name used so definitively, as well as all that often, and thankfully here is for all the right reasons. See, Gunman Clive is an indie title developed by an indie team for the Nintendo 3DS as well as the iOS and the Android platforms. It's a run and gun platformer that's separated into separate stages and is available really cheap on the eShop. If I haven't sold you yet, then get ready because what this game does right, it does very well. So first off, let's tackle the aesthetic style because when I first started the game, that was actually the first thing that jumped out to me was how good it looked. And I know a lot of people have mocked this game for the yellow brownish colors, but I find it actually suits the Western atmosphere for the game very nicely. When I had jumped into the first level, I really felt like I was partaking in some kind of dream in a Western setting, and the floaty jumping mechanics, combined with the ambitious nature of the soundtrack, really enhanced this feeling of magic and importance. Now the 3D effect, while certainly effective in this game, is something I find unnecessary to really enjoy the already palatable art design. It's very easygoing on the eyes and it looks very good as opposed to the sharpness of the typical 16-bit or 8-bit platformer. All this beauty, though, is really supplementary to the gameplay and context of the game, both of which are just stellar. Now, I've never been big into Western films or culture for that matter, but Gunman Clive doesn't particularly adhere to the conventions that one typically identifies with Western films or culture per se. At its heart, Gunman Clive is really an action platformer with a Western overcoat, and plays very well because of it. The overall style to playing each level is very similar to a Mega Man game, in that the player really needs to watch out for how enemies obstruct advancement to the end of the level. It is easy to die a lot in this game, but Gunman Clive is very fair in that it offers infinite continues. Also, I really like that the music doesn't cut out after you perish. It's just a continuous flow. It really encourages the player to keep going. Now, Gunman Clive does also borrow some elements from Mega Man and Donkey Kong Country, but it really retains its distinct individuality, all while giving a nod to those games before it. It's not just the Western influence that makes Gunman Clive what it is, but also how it does as a platforming game. Rather than gauge performance based on high scores, as is typical for the genre, the only things Gunman Clive monitors are level completion times and the ability to complete the level without taking damage. I particularly like this because I feel like if there were counters in the game that were showing the score and the time limit, it would really obstruct the beauty presented in every frame. Also, the gauging of performance aspects really gives the player incentive to come back and play the game through again and better. Not just necessarily for speedrunners who like to complete the game fast, but also just for fun's sake. Now, for better or worse, that does bring me into the topic of game completion, which even the first time around should take no more than 2 hours at tops. And then the second playthrough won't take anything more than what's likely 40 minutes, even on the hard difficulty. Personally, I actually prefer this short style of play because it really allows me to get the most out of my time. And even if you do just want to play a few levels at a time or select levels, you can do that because the game saves your progress and allows you to play any level that you've completed. And if that weren't enough, there's even more replay value in the game from the extra characters available. Aside from Clive, the damsel, as well as the other secret character, have somewhat different playstyles than Clive, making it an interesting playthrough with both other characters. Really though, Gunman Clive just herds the cows home in terms of competence as a fun action platformer. The developers really knew what they were doing and made a game that's approachable for any creative gamer and makes for an enjoyable playthrough at a bargain value. It's not only a good playthrough, it's also indicative of what makes a genre defined simply by getting from point A to point B fun and exciting. It doesn't have a huge amount of content, but if it does leave you wanting more, the sequel does pack in more of an action punch. But I do recommend starting with the original, because it's a good basis. Anyways, that about wraps up my review for Gunman Clive. Danke schön zu Hurberg Productions für Gunman Clive. Und ich hoffe, dass wir können mehr ausgezeichnet Spielen gleich diese sehen. Vielen Dank zu euch und auf Wiedersehen. Tschüss und Aloha.